Christos anesti, Christ is risen. Hello, I'm back again to tell you a little more today about the music of the Divine Liturgy. Remember that I told you before there are only a few places in the Divine Liturgy where the music changes from one week to the next. There's one spot where we have the biggest weekly changes, the hymns around the small entrance. The small entrance is the one in which the clergy and the altar boys process out of the altar area with the gospel book. Most of the hymns we sing at this time are called Apolytikia. Apolytikia are dismissal hymns. They're called dismissal hymns because they're sung at the end of Vespers on the evening before the liturgy. Apolytikia is plural. The singular form is Apolytikion. An Apolytikion is kind of like a theme song of a feast or a saint. There are also 8 hymns that are called the resurrectional Apolytikia. These are called resurrectional because they are all hymns about the resurrection of Christ. Each week we sing one of the resurrectional Apolytikia, and we rotate through the 8 of them from week to week. Byzantine music has a system of 8 modes. Each mode has different musical characteristics, and each of the resurrectional Apolytikia is in a different mode. On a regular Sunday, we sing the assigned one of these hymns before the entrance. After the entrance, we sing it again. Then we sing the Apolytikion of the church we're in. So in our church, that's the Apolytikion of St. George. Last, we sing another type of hymn called a kontakion. On a Sunday when we are celebrating a feast, we may have a special kontakion, but when we don't, the default kontakion is prostasia ton Christianon. In English, that's O Protection of Christians. So on a regular Sunday, we have the resurrectional Apolytikion before and after the entrance, then the Apolytikion of the church, and then that default kontakion, prostasia ton Christianon, O Protection of Christians. So this coming Sunday is not just a regular Sunday. We're in the Paschal period, so we're still singing many of the hymns of Pascha. So here's what we're doing. Instead of the resurrectional Apolytikion before the entrance, we sing Christos anesti. Of course we will, and we'll sing it several other times as well. After the entrance, we do sing the resurrectional Apolytikion. Pascha is always a Mode 1 Sunday, and we're now 3 weeks after Pascha, so this Sunday is a Mode 4 week. We'll sing the Mode 4 resurrectional Apolytikion, which is To Phedron dis Anastasios Kyrigma. So it starts like To Phedron dis Anastasios Kyrigma. I'll sing the whole thing in English. It goes, when the women disciples of the Lord had learned from the angel the joyful message of the resurrection, and rejected the ancestral decision, they cried aloud to the apostles triumphantly, death has been despoiled, Christ God has risen, granting his great mercy to the world. So that's the Mode 4 resurrectional Apolytikion. Next, on this Sunday, we have a special Apolytikion because this past week was the midpoint between Pascha and Pentecost. Listen to this one. O Lord, midway through the feast, give drink to my thirsty soul from the living waters of right belief. You, O Savior, proclaim to everyone, let whoever is thirsty come to me and drink. You are the fountain of life, O Christ our God, glory to you. Then we have the Apolytikion of St. George, which we sing at almost every liturgy. And finally we have a special kontakion for the Paschal period. This one goes, Ike enta fokatil thesathanate. That's how it starts in Greek. And this is how it goes in English. Though you went down into the tomb, O immortal one, yet you brought down the dominion of Hades. And you rose as the victor, O Christ our God. And you called out, rejoice to the myrrh-bearing women, and gave peace to your apostles, O Lord, who to the fallen grant resurrection. You may have noticed there right at the end that it kind of had a longer, kind of more fancy ending. And that ending is a cue to the priests that the chanters or the choir are finished. So we've sung all of the hymns for that Sunday. We do that longer ending, and that gives them the cue. Basically, it's your turn now. That can be a lot of hymns in a row, especially when we're celebrating a feast. But the more we understand about why each hymn is sung, the more we'll be prepared to hear the message that each one is conveying. And it also can tell us a little bit about the season or the feast. When we're all able to gather again in person at the church, you'll find these hymns in your missal. In the meantime, as you're watching the live stream of our liturgy this Sunday, pay attention to the hymns after the great entrance and see if you can identify these hymns. The resurrectional Apolytikion that starts with the women disciples, the Apolytikion of mid-Pentecost that starts, O Lord, midway through the feast, the Apolytikion of St. George that begins as the deliverer of captives, and finally the kontakion of Pascha, though you went down into the tomb. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. See you next time.